The Sacrifice. Marcus James pulled up to his apartment complex in his aging sedan, its engine sputtering faintly as it settled into idle. The car was just one of many things on his long list of worries, a list that seemed to grow every day. As a single father raising his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, on a shoestring budget, Marcus was no stranger to sacrifice. His own needs often came last, but it was a trade he was willing to make for his little girl. A father's struggle. Inside their modest apartment, Marcus set down the grocery bags he'd managed to stretch across the week. Lily sat cross-legged on the living room floor, coloring in a battered sketchbook. Her bright smile and bubbling energy always lit up the room, even when the weight of their struggles felt overwhelming. "Hey, Daddy," she said, running to him with a hug. "Guess what? We're having a class party tomorrow." "That's great, sweetheart," Marcus said, ruffling her hair. "What are you bringing?" "Just me," she giggled. But her smile faltered as she glanced down at her shoes. They were scuffed and worn, the soles nearly peeling off. "I hope no one laughs at my shoes again." Marcus's chest tightened. He'd overheard Lily talking about the teasing she endured at school, and it broke his heart. He crouched to her level, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Don't you worry about that. Daddy's going to get you a brand new pair, okay?" Lily's eyes lit up. "Really?" "Really," Marcus promised, though the words weighed heavily in his chest. He wasn't sure how he'd manage it, but he couldn't let her down. Scraping together the money. That evening, after Lily had gone to bed, Marcus sat at the kitchen table, reviewing his finances. Between rent, utilities, and groceries, there was little room for anything extra. He sifted through old jars of spare change, cashed in a small refund check he'd been saving, and adjusted his grocery budget to the bare minimum. Eventually, he scraped together just enough to buy Lily a decent pair of shoes. It meant skipping a few meals himself and postponing a much-needed car repair, but Marcus didn't hesitate. For Lily, it was worth it. The shoe store visit. The next afternoon, Marcus and Lily walked into a brightly lit shoe store at the local mall. Lily's excitement was contagious as she skipped between the aisles, her eyes darting from display to display. Marcus followed close behind, mentally calculating prices and steering her toward the more affordable options. "How about these, Daddy?" Lily asked, holding up a simple pair of sneakers with rainbow laces. They weren't the cheapest, but her face lit up as if she'd found a treasure. Marcus smiled. "Those are perfect." As they approached the checkout counter, Marcus noticed another shopper nearby, a tall man with long, dark hair and a casual, unassuming style. He was dressed in a black t-shirt and jeans, a baseball cap pulled low over his face. The man seemed to be browsing aimlessly, occasionally glancing at Marcus and Lily with a warm but discreet smile. Unbeknownst to Marcus, the man was Keanu Reeves. He had slipped into the store during a break from a nearby film shoot, hoping to shop unnoticed. As he browsed, he couldn't help but overhear the conversation between Marcus and Lily. A touching moment. At the register, Marcus carefully handed over his hard-earned cash while Lily beamed beside him, clutching the shoebox. "Thank you, Daddy," she said, wrapping her arms around his waist. Marcus bent down to hug her, his heart full, despite the strain on his wallet. "Anything for you, sweetheart." Keanu, standing a few feet away, watched the interaction with quiet admiration. He saw the love and sacrifice etched in Marcus's face and the pure joy radiating from Lily. It was a simple yet profound moment, and it struck a chord deep within him. As Marcus and Lily prepared to leave, Keanu approached the register himself. But he wasn't there to pay for shoes of his own. Instead, he quietly handed the cashier his credit card and whispered, "Let me cover their purchase." The cashier's eyes widened in recognition but nodded, processing the payment quickly and discreetly. Keanu gestured for her to keep it quiet as Marcus collected the bag and prepared to leave. A small surprise. Just as Marcus turned to thank the cashier, she smiled and said, "Your total is already taken care of." Marcus blinked in confusion. "What? Are you sure?" "Yes," the cashier said warmly. It's been paid for. Marcus stood frozen for a moment, glancing around the store. He had no idea who the mysterious benefactor was, but his gratitude swelled. "Thank you," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. As Marcus and Lily walked out of the store, Keanu lingered behind, a faint smile playing on his lips. He wasn't ready to reveal himself just yet. For now, he was content knowing he had made a small difference in their lives. But this was only the beginning of what he planned to do. An act of kindness. The shoe store buzzed softly with the sounds of families shopping and the faint pop music playing over the speakers. Marcus and Lily stood in the aisle, surrounded by rows of brightly colored sneakers and athletic shoes. Lily's eyes darted from one display to another, her excitement bubbling over as she picked up a pair of glittery pink sneakers. "Daddy, look. These ones light up," she exclaimed, holding the shoes up for him to see. Marcus knelt beside her, smiling at her enthusiasm. "Those are really nice, sweetheart," he said gently, flipping the price tag over with a practiced motion. His heart sank when he saw the number. They were far out of his budget. "But let's keep looking, okay? Maybe we'll find something just as special." Lily nodded, placing the shoes back on the shelf with a small sigh. She trusted her dad, even if she didn't fully understand the struggles he faced. A modest choice. A few minutes later, Lily picked up another pair, a simple but colorful pair of sneakers with rainbow accents. "How about these, Daddy?" she asked. Marcus checked the price tag and felt a small wave of relief. These were within reach. "Perfect," he said, ruffling her hair. "You'll look great in these." As they walked toward the register, Marcus knelt down to tie Lily's shoelaces, his voice soft but apologetic. "I know they're not as fancy as some of the others you liked, but I hope they're okay." Lily threw her arms around him. "They're the best shoes ever, Daddy." "Thank you." Marcus smiled, but a pang of guilt tugged at his chest. He wished he could give her everything she wanted, but for now, all he could do was make do. Keanu overhears. Nearby, Keanu Reeves stood at another aisle, appearing to browse, but listening intently to the exchange. Dressed casually in a black t-shirt, jeans, and a baseball cap pulled low over his face, he blended in seamlessly with the other shoppers. But his sharp eyes and attentive nature caught the quiet love and sacrifice between Marcus and Lily. Keanu's heart softened as he watched Marcus place the sneakers on the counter and dig into his wallet, carefully counting out cash. It was clear to Keanu that Marcus was stretching every dollar he had to ensure his daughter could have something nice. It reminded Keanu of his own struggles in the past, the times when he had seen his family make sacrifices for one another. He felt a deep respect for the father's quiet determination and unconditional love. The quiet gesture. As Marcus finalized the transaction, Keanu approached the cashier unnoticed, slipping his credit card across the counter. He leaned in and whispered, "I'd like to pay for those. Just don't say anything until they're ready to leave." The cashier froze for a moment, her eyes widening as she realized who was standing before her. She nodded quickly, processing the payment with discreet efficiency. Keanu offered her a small smile before stepping back into the shadows of the store. Marcus's surprise. When Marcus reached for his wallet to hand over the cash, the cashier smiled warmly and shook her head. "Your total has already been covered," she said, her tone calm but kind. Marcus blinked in confusion, looking from the cashier to Lily, and back again. "What? No, that can't be right. I haven't paid yet." The cashier nodded. "It's already been taken care of. Someone wanted to do something nice for you." Marcus's brow furrowed as he glanced around the store. Who? Who did this?" The cashier smiled and shrugged, keeping Keanu's identity a secret as he had requested. "They wanted to stay anonymous." Marcus stood there for a moment, stunned. His mind raced as he processed what had just happened. Lily, oblivious to his confusion, tugged at his arm excitedly. "Daddy, look. The shoes are mine now." A small laugh escaped Marcus's lips as he crouched to hug her tightly. "Yeah, sweetheart, they're yours. Keanu watches silently. From a distance, Keanu watched the scene with a faint smile. He saw the gratitude in Marcus's eyes and the pure joy on Lily's face as they walked out of the store, hand in hand. Keanu could have revealed himself then and there, but he didn't. He wasn't looking for recognition or thanks, he simply wanted to make a difference in their day. As Marcus and Lily disappeared into the mall's crowd, Keanu lingered behind, quietly reflecting on the moment. But this was just the beginning of his involvement. Something about Marcus's story had struck a deeper chord, and Keanu knew he wasn't done helping this father and daughter yet. The reveal. Marcus and Lily stepped out of the shoe store, Lily clutching the shoebox like it was a treasure chest. Her face glowed with happiness, and Marcus felt a warmth he hadn't felt in a long time. Whoever had paid for those shoes had given him more than financial relief, they had given him a moment of joy he could share with his daughter. "Daddy, I love my new shoes," Lily said, skipping beside him. "I'm glad, sweetheart," Marcus replied, ruffling her hair. "Whoever did this. I wish I could thank them." As they continued walking, a casual figure in a baseball cap approached from the other direction. Marcus noticed the man immediately, but didn't think much of it until the stranger stopped and spoke. "Excuse me," the man said, his tone warm but humble. "I hope I'm not intruding, but I just wanted to say, those shoes look perfect on her." An unexpected introduction. Marcus turned to the stranger, his expression polite but confused. "Thank you," he replied. "She picked them out herself." Keanu smiled and adjusted his cap slightly, revealing his face more clearly. "I'm glad I got to help with them." Marcus blinked, recognition dawning slowly. His eyes widened as he realized who he was looking at. "Wait a second, are you?" "Yes," Keanu said with a small chuckle. "I'm Keanu. Nice to meet you." Marcus stood frozen for a moment, processing what was happening. He glanced down at Lily, who was inspecting her shoes, blissfully unaware of the significance of the moment. "You're the one who paid for the shoes," Marcus said, his voice filled with both surprise and gratitude. Keanu nodded. "I overheard you in the store. I saw the way you put your daughter first, no matter what. It reminded me of some of the sacrifices my own family made when I was younger." Marcus shook his head in disbelief. I don't know what to say. Thank you doesn't feel like enough." "You don't have to say anything," Keanu said, his voice kind. "I just wanted to do something small to help. An invitation to lunch." As they stood there, Keanu gestured toward a nearby cafe. "If you're not in a rush, I'd love to take you and your daughter out for lunch." "My treat." Marcus hesitated for a moment, unsure if he should accept such an offer. But Lily's excited tug on his hand made the decision easier. "Daddy, can we?" "Please?" she asked, her eyes bright. Marcus chuckled. "Okay, sweetheart. We can go." Sharing a story. At the cafe, Keanu kept the conversation light at first, chatting with Lily about her new shoes and her favorite colors. She warmed to him quickly, charmed by his kind demeanor and genuine interest in her stories. As Lily focused on her food, Keanu turned his attention to Marcus. "So, tell me about yourself," he said. "What's your story?" Marcus hesitated, unsure of how much to share, but something about Keanu's sincerity made him open up. He talked about losing his wife a few years earlier and how he had been doing his best to raise Lily on his own. He explained the challenges of balancing work, bills, and being present for his daughter, all while trying to make sure she never felt like she was missing out. "It's not easy," Marcus admitted, his voice quiet. "But she's my world. As long as she's happy, I'll find a way to make it work." Keanu listened intently, his expression thoughtful. "You're an incredible father, Marcus," he said after a pause. "Not everyone would go to the lengths you do to make sure their child feels loved and supported." "I don't know about incredible," Marcus replied, a faint smile on his lips. "I'm just doing what any parent would do." A growing admiration. Keanu leaned back in his chair, studying Marcus for a moment. The world needs more people like you, he said finally. Parents who are willing to put their kids first, no matter what. Marcus looked down, humbled by the praise. I just wish I could do more for her. Sometimes it feels like I'm barely scraping by. Keanu nodded, his mind already turning over ideas. He didn't want to overwhelm Marcus with an immediate offer, but he knew this was a family he wanted to help in a meaningful way. As the lunch wound down, Keanu glanced at Lily, who was happily finishing her dessert. I'd like to keep in touch, if that's okay, he said to Marcus. I think there's more I can do to help. Marcus hesitated, feeling a mix of gratitude and disbelief. I don't know how to thank you for everything you've already done. You don't need to, Keanu said with a smile. Just keep being the amazing dad you are. As they exchanged contact information, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that this meeting wasn't just a chance encounter, it was the beginning of something life-changing. For now, though, he focused on the moment, grateful for the kindness of a stranger who had turned a simple trip to the shoe store into a day he and Lily would never forget. A life-changing offer. A week after their unexpected lunch with Keanu Reeves, Marcus still found himself reflecting on the surreal experience. The kindness and humility Keanu had shown had been more than just a chance encounter, it felt like a turning point. Marcus, however, didn't expect to hear from him again, figuring the actor's generosity had already gone far beyond anything he could have imagined. That was until Marcus received a call from a number he didn't recognize. Hi, Marcus, the familiar voice on the other end said. It's Keanu. Marcus nearly dropped the phone. Keanu? Wow, I didn't think I'd hear from you again. Keanu chuckled. I don't make empty promises, Marcus. I've been thinking about you and Lily, and I'd like to help. Do you have a moment to talk? The offer. Later that evening, Marcus sat in his modest living room, the phone pressed to his ear as Keanu explained his idea. I know you're doing everything you can for Lily, Keanu said. But I also know how hard it can be to make ends meet when you're trying to give your child the best life possible. I want to help. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Keanu, I don't know. I'm not sure I can accept that. You've already done so much. This isn't about charity, Marcus, Keanu replied gently. It's about opportunity. You're doing everything right, you just need a little support to make things easier. Let me help take some of the weight off your shoulders. Keanu explained that he wanted to set up a fund for Lily's education and provide financial assistance to cover immediate essentials, such as groceries, clothing, and medical expenses. He also mentioned a charity organization he supported that specialized in helping families find stable housing and employment. I can connect you with them, Keanu said. They'll work with you to make sure you're set up for success. And as for Lily's education, consider it my way of investing in her future. She's a bright kid, Marcus. She deserves every opportunity to thrive. Marcus's hesitation. Marcus felt a lump form in his throat. The offer was beyond generous, it was life-changing. But a part of him struggled with the idea of accepting such a gift. I don't want to feel like I'm taking advantage of you, he said quietly. I've always taught Lily to earn her way, and I don't want her to think we relied on someone else to get by. Keanu's tone remained calm and reassuring. Marcus, what you're doing for Lily already shows her the value of hard work. But there's no shame in accepting help when it's offered out of kindness. I've been fortunate in my life, and I believe it's my responsibility to give back when I can. This isn't about me, it's about you and Lily. Marcus sat in silence for a moment, absorbing Keanu's words. Finally, he nodded, even though Keanu couldn't see him. All right, he said, his voice heavy with emotion. If this can make a difference for Lily, I'll accept. Thank you, Keanu. I don't know how I'll ever repay you. You don't need to repay me, Keanu said simply. Just pay it forward when you're able. That's all I ask. A new beginning. The following week, Keanu arranged for Marcus to meet with representatives from the charity organization. They worked with him to create a personalized plan, helping him secure a stable job with better hours and a higher income. They also assisted in upgrading his apartment to a safer, more comfortable space for him and Lily. Meanwhile, Keanu ensured the fund for Lily's education was set up, covering everything from school supplies to future college tuition. When Marcus told Lily about the changes, her excitement was contagious. "Daddy, does this mean I can join the art club at school?" she asked, her eyes wide with hope. "Yes, sweetheart," Marcus replied, his voice breaking with emotion. "You can do anything you want now." Lily threw her arms around him. "I'm going to work so hard, Daddy. I'll make you proud. I promise." Keanu's quiet impact. Keanu stayed in touch, checking in on Marcus and Lily periodically to see how they were doing. He remained humble, deflecting any praise for his generosity and instead focusing on their progress. For Marcus, the help wasn't just financial, it was a chance to breathe, to focus on being the best father he could be without the constant weight of financial stress. For Lily, it was a chance to dream bigger, to explore her passions and talents without limitations. A father's gratitude. One evening, Marcus sat down to write a letter to Keanu. He poured his heart onto the page, thanking him not just for the material help but for the hope and dignity he had restored to their lives. "You didn't just change our circumstances," Marcus wrote. "You reminded me that there are good people in the world who care, and that kindness can come from the most unexpected places. I'll never forget what you've done for us." When Keanu read the letter, he smiled quietly, setting it down with the knowledge that his gesture had made a lasting impact. For him, it wasn't about recognition, it was about doing the right thing. And for Marcus and Lily, it was the start of a brighter, more stable future. A brighter future. Months passed, and the changes in Marcus and Lily's lives were nothing short of transformative. What had once been a daily struggle to make ends meet was now a period of growth, stability, and hope. Marcus, with the help of the charity Keanu had introduced him to, had secured a steady job as an operations coordinator at a local logistics company. The role provided better pay and more predictable hours, allowing him to spend quality time with Lily without constantly worrying about money. Lily's flourishing education. Lily, meanwhile, was thriving. With the educational fund Keanu had set up, Marcus was able to enroll her in after-school programs that nurtured her love for art and music. Her teachers marveled at her progress, often commenting on her bright spirit and determination. "Daddy, look what I made," she would exclaim, showing off a drawing or a craft project she had worked on at school. Marcus couldn't help but beam with pride every time he saw her eyes light up with excitement. One evening, as Marcus helped her with her homework, Lily looked up at him and said, "I'm going to be an artist one day, Daddy. Just like you always said I could." Marcus's throat tightened with emotion. "You can be anything you want, sweetheart. And I'll always be here to cheer you on." Paying it forward. As Marcus and Lily settled into their new life, Marcus felt an undeniable pull to give back. Inspired by Keanu's generosity, he began volunteering at the same charity that had helped him find stability. On weekends, he worked with other struggling families, sharing his story and offering support to parents who, like him, just wanted the best for their children. "I know what it's like to feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders," he told a young father one day. "But trust me, things can get better. Sometimes, all it takes is one person believing in you." Marcus's efforts didn't go unnoticed. The charity's director often praised him for his dedication and compassion, and he quickly became a mentor to many of the families the organization served. Reflecting on the journey. One evening, after a long day at work and an evening of volunteering, Marcus sat on the couch, watching Lily as she sketched at the dining table. The apartment, now filled with her laughter and the quiet hum of a life rebuilt, felt like a different world compared to where they had been just months earlier. Marcus leaned back, reflecting on the chain of events that had brought them here. It all started with a simple trip to the shoe store, a moment of kindness from a stranger who turned out to be a world-famous actor. But to Marcus, Keanu Reeves wasn't just a celebrity. He was a symbol of how small gestures could create ripples of change. That one act, Marcus thought, changed everything. He made a silent vow to continue paying it forward, to ensure that the kindness he and Lily had received would echo in the lives of others for years to come. Keanu's quiet observation. Unbeknownst to Marcus, Keanu Reeves kept tabs on their progress from a distance. Though he never sought recognition or thanks, he occasionally checked in with the charity to hear updates about Marcus and Lily. When he learned about Marcus's new job and his volunteer work, Keanu couldn't help but smile. For him, seeing how his small gesture had grown into something so impactful was the greatest reward. On a quiet afternoon, Keanu sat at a cafe near the charity's office, watching as Marcus exited the building with Lily by his side. They laughed together, Lily clutching a colorful drawing she had made, while Marcus's face radiated pride. Keanu took a sip of his coffee, content in knowing he had played a small role in their story. A legacy of kindness. As Marcus and Lily walked off into the distance, Keanu reflected on the power of compassion. He had always believed in using his fortune and influence to make a difference, but moments like these reminded him that it wasn't about grand gestures or headlines. It was about seeing people, truly seeing them, and offering help where it was needed most. For Marcus and Lily, life was no longer a series of struggles but a journey filled with hope, opportunity, and the drive to create a brighter future, not just for themselves, but for others as well. And for Keanu, knowing he had made a difference was more than enough.